Lucy Winters sat at her desk in the communications center of Earth's outpost Meridian, checking the time display for the third time in 10 minutes. The interstellar mail system was scheduled to deliver new messages soon, and she found herself eager for one letter in particular. When she had first joined the Interstellar Pen Pal program 6 months ago, she had done so out of boredom. Life on the outpost was predictable. She handled communications between Earth and the various ships and stations throughout the solar system. It was important work, but lonely. The Pen Pal program promised connection with someone new, someone who might understand the isolation of space work. The screen in front of her flashed, indicating new messages had arrived. Lucy's heart beat faster as she scrolled through the list. There it was. A message from Nathan Ellis, flight engineer aboard the Starship Venture, currently on a deep space mission near Jupiter's moons. She opened it immediately. "Dear Lucy," the message began. "Life aboard the Venture continues to be both exciting and routine, if you can believe such a combination exists. Yesterday we passed close enough to Europa to get some amazing readings on the subsurface ocean. I watched from the observation deck as the ice plain stretched out below us, cracked like an old painting. I wish you could have seen it. The blue-white surface against the blackness of space makes you feel small, but part of something endless at the same time. Your last letter about the greenhouse project at Meridian reminded me of my grandmother's garden back in Ohio. She grew tomatoes that tasted better than anything the ship's food synthesizers could dream of making. Do you ever miss the simple things from Earth? The smell of rain or wind that isn't generated by air recyclers? The captain says we'll be in this sector for another month before heading back toward Mars. When we return, the Venture is scheduled for maintenance at the orbital dock. I might actually get some shore leave on Earth for the first time in 3 years. Strange to think I might walk on actual soil again. Until next time, Nathan." Lucy smiled and saved the message to her personal folder where she kept all their correspondence. She had never expected to look forward to these letters so much. At first, their exchanges had been formal, just basic information about their jobs and daily routines. But over time, they had begun sharing more personal thoughts. She started typing her reply right away. "Dear Nathan, you have no idea how much I envy your view of Europa. The most exciting thing I've seen from my window this week is the repair crew fixing solar panels. Though I have to admit, watching people in spacesuits always looks a bit like a slow-motion dance. You asked about missing things from Earth. I miss thunderstorms. The sound of rain hitting the roof, the crack of thunder. Growing up in Seattle meant lots of rain, which I complained about then but now seem to crave. The environmental systems here try to create the perfect day every day. Sometimes I want imperfect weather. The greenhouse project is expanding next month. We're trying to grow strawberries now. If we succeed, I promise to save you one when you dock at Meridian. They won't be like your grandmother's tomatoes, but they'll be real at least." Lucy paused, wondering if she should write more. Their messages had been getting longer and more personal with each exchange. She found herself thinking about Nathan throughout her days, wondering what he would think of the small dramas and moments that made up life on the outpost. "I've been reading the book you recommended," she continued. "You were right about the main character. She reminds me of my mother, stubborn but always with good reason. It's strange how fictional people can feel so real sometimes. Almost as strange as how real someone can feel just through letters, even when you've never met them." The communications team has been busy with the new relay installation. We should have faster transmission times to the outer planets once it's complete. Maybe our messages won't have to wait so long in between. Looking forward to your next letter, Lucy. She read over her message once before sending it through the system. As the months had passed, she had learned more about Nathan, his sense of humor, his thoughtfulness, the way he noticed small details about everything. He told her about the tight quarters on the ship, the pranks the engineering team played on each other during long shifts, and his dream of someday working on the new colony being planned for Titan. Lucy had shared her own stories, how she'd chosen space work after her parents died in an accident, wanting something completely different from her life in Seattle. She told him about her collection of old paper books, her habit of naming the robots that maintained the outpost, and her secret desire to be on one of the first ships that would someday travel to another star. By the time their correspondence reached the 1-year mark, Lucy realized something had changed. She found herself thinking about Nathan during quiet moments, imagining conversations they might have if they were in the same place. She had dated a few people on the outpost, but those relationships had fizzled quickly. None of them seemed to understand her the way Nathan did through just his written words. When the announcement came that the Venture would be docking at Meridian for a 2-week maintenance stop, Lucy felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. After 14 months of letters, they would finally meet in person. "The Venture will arrive next Tuesday," she wrote in her next message. "Would you like to meet? The outpost has a decent cafe where the coffee almost tastes real." His reply came 3 days later. "I would like nothing more than to finally meet you. But there's something I should tell you first. Something important that I haven't been completely honest about. Can I come to your quarters when we arrive? This should be discussed in private." Lucy read the message several times, trying to figure out what Nathan might need to tell her. Was he married? Was he much older than she had assumed? Did he have some kind of health issue? Whatever it was, she decided it couldn't change how she felt about the person she had come to know through their letters. "My quarters are in Section D, number 422, she wrote back. "I'll be there when your shuttle docks." For the next 5 days, Lucy found herself both looking forward to and dreading their meeting. She cleaned her small apartment several times, changed the display settings on her wall screens, and even requested a real plant from the greenhouse to brighten the space. When the day finally arrived, Lucy received the alert that the Venture had docked. The crew would be disembarking soon. She changed her outfit 3 times before settling on a simple blue dress that her friend Gina had once told her brought out the color of her eyes. The door signal chimed exactly at the time Nathan had said he would arrive. Lucy took a deep breath, smoothed her dress, and pressed the panel to open the door. The person standing in the hallway wore a standard Venture crew uniform. But it wasn't what Lucy had expected at all. Lucy stared at the figure standing in her doorway. It was not a human man as she had expected, but something else entirely. The being before her stood slightly taller than an average human, with skin that shimmered a silvery blue color under the hallway lights. Its face had features similar to a human, 2 eyes, a nose, a mouth, but the eyes were larger, with deep purple irises that seemed to contain tiny flecks of light like stars. The being wore the standard uniform of the Venture crew, complete with the ship's patch on the shoulder. Lucy Winters? The voice was pleasant and clear with an unusual musical quality to it. Lucy gripped the doorframe, trying to process what she was seeing. "Yes," she managed to say. "I'm Lucy." "I am Xander," the being said. "May I come in? I can explain everything." Lucy hesitated for a moment, then stepped back from the door. Her training as a communications specialist included protocols for first contact situations, though she never expected to use them in her own living room. Curiosity overcame her initial shock, and she gestured for the alien to enter. The being, Xander, moved with surprising grace into her apartment. Lucy noticed that its movements were fluid, almost like it was gliding rather than walking. "Please sit down," she said, pointing to her small couch. She took the chair opposite, keeping some distance between them. "You were expecting Nathan Ellis," Xander said. "It wasn't a question." "Yes," Lucy replied, finding her voice again. "I've been writing to Nathan Ellis for over a year. Who are you? Where is Nathan?" Xander's expression shifted in a way that seemed to indicate discomfort, though Lucy couldn't be sure she was reading the alien features correctly. "I am who you have been writing to," Xander said. "Nathan Ellis is the human name assigned to me when I joined the Venture crew. My true name in my language is difficult for humans to pronounce." Lucy felt like the air had been sucked from the room. "You? You wrote all those letters?" "Yes," Xander said. "Every word came from me. The thoughts, the feelings, the experiences, all were mine." Lucy stood up and paced across her small apartment. "But you let me believe you were human. You never said anything about being a cerulean," Xander finished for her. "My people joined your interstellar fleet 3 Earth years ago as part of the Alliance Agreement. There are 16 of us currently serving on human ships." But why the deception? Lucy asked, trying to process this new reality. Xander's hands, four-fingered and with the same blue-silver tone as the face, made a gesture that seemed apologetic. The pen pal program administrators assigned human names to all non-human participants. They believed humans might not engage freely if they knew they were writing to aliens. I should have told you the truth as our letters became more personal, but I was afraid of losing what we had built. Lucy sat back down, thinking of all the letters they had exchanged, the shared stories, the personal details, the growing connection she had felt. Had it all been based on a lie? Everything else I told you was true, Xander continued as if reading her thoughts. My position as a flight engineer on the Venture, my observations about Jupiter's moons, my thoughts about Earth and space, even my grandmother's garden. Your grandmother? Lucy asked in disbelief. You told me about growing up in Ohio. Xander nodded. Ceruleans live among humans on Earth now. My family settled in what you call Ohio when I was young. The woman I called grandmother in my letters was my human host parent. She did grow tomatoes, and she did teach me about Earth plants. I think of her as family. Lucy tried to recall if there had been any clues in their correspondence. Had she missed something obvious? No. Xander had been careful never to directly lie, but also never to reveal the truth. Why tell me now? Why not just continue the deception? Lucy asked. Because what has grown between us through our letters means too much to me, Xander said. I wanted to meet you as myself, not hiding behind a false identity. Lucy noticed that Xander had removed something from a pocket. It was a small crystal-like object that glowed with a soft blue light. On my world, we believe that true connection happens between minds and spirits, not physical forms, Xander explained, holding out the crystal. This is a memory stone. We use them to store important moments like your people use photographs. Lucy hesitated, then took the object. As soon as it touched her skin, she felt a wave of emotions that weren't her own, hope mixed with fear, genuine affection, and a deep respect. These are your feelings? She asked, surprised. Some of them, Xander said. The ones I feel when thinking about our correspondence, about you. Lucy handed the crystal back, unsure how to respond. Part of her felt betrayed by the deception, but another part recognized that the connection they had formed through their letters had been real. The thoughts and perspectives she had come to value from Nathan had actually come from this alien being. I need time to process this, she finally said. Of course, Xander replied. The Venture will be docked for 12 days. Perhaps we could meet again when you've had time to think. I would like the chance to know you as myself, not as Nathan Ellis. Lucy nodded slowly. Maybe in a few days. After Xander left, Lucy sat in her apartment for a long time, rereading their correspondence on her tablet. She noticed things she had missed before. How Nathan had never directly described his physical appearance. How he had compared Earth customs to other ways of living, without specifying. How his descriptions of human emotions sometimes seemed slightly removed, as if observing them rather than fully experiencing them. Yet the letters had also contained genuine warmth, thoughtfulness, and a unique perspective that she had come to value. She remembered how she had looked forward to each message, how their exchanges had brightened her days on the outpost. 3 days later, Lucy sent a message to the Venture requesting to meet with Xander again. They agreed to meet at the observation deck, a public space where Lucy felt more comfortable than her private quarters. When she arrived, Xander was already there, looking out at the stars. Without the initial shock of their first meeting, Lucy could now notice more details about Xander's appearance. The skin wasn't simply blue but had patterns of lighter silver that seemed to shift slightly when Xander moved. The uniform had been slightly modified to accommodate a different body structure. Thank you for agreeing to meet again, Xander said as Lucy approached. I have questions, Lucy replied, standing beside the alien and looking out at the same view. I will answer them honestly, Xander promised. Were you assigned to write to me specifically, or was it random? Lucy asked. The program matched us, based on our positions, Xander explained. Communications specialists with engineering crew. But continuing the correspondence was my choice. And all the personal things you shared? Were those true? Yes, Xander said. My thoughts about space, about connection, about leaving home to explore something new. All true. The only deception was allowing you to believe I was human. Lucy turned to look directly at Xander. I don't know what to do with this. I felt like I knew you. Like we had something special developing. Now I don't know what to think. Xander looked at Lucy with those strange, galaxy-filled eyes. The person you knew through those letters was me, Xander said. Not a made-up character, not a role I was playing, just me, sharing my real thoughts with you. Lucy turned back to the stars visible through the observation window. The vast blackness of space dotted with pinpoints of light had always helped her think. Tell me about your people, she finally said. In our letters, you told me about your life, but I was picturing a human life. I want to know the real story. Xander seemed to relax slightly. My people, the Ceruleans, made contact with Earth 10 years ago. We had been watching humans for decades before that. We found your species fascinating, your creativity, your adaptability, your drive to explore despite physical limitations. Why were you watching us? Lucy asked. The same reason humans look at the stars, Xander replied. Curiosity, hope of finding others who think and feel. We are explorers too. Over the next hour, Lucy learned about Cerulean culture, how they valued knowledge above all things, how their society had no concept of war, having solved conflicts through council discussions for thousands of years, how they could share emotions directly through their memory stones, making deception rare among their kind. That's why I felt so bad about not telling you the truth, Xander explained. In my culture, hiding one's true self is almost unheard of. Then why did you agree to it? Lucy asked. The human officials who created the program believed there might be resistance to non-human pen pals. They wanted the connections to form naturally first. I agreed, because I was eager to learn about humans through direct communication, not just observation. Xander paused. And then, as we continued writing, I worried about losing what we had built. As they talked, Lucy began to see glimpses of the person she had come to know through the letters. Xander's curiosity about Earth cultures, the thoughtful observations about life in space, the dry humor that occasionally surfaced, all were present in person, just as they had been in written form. Would you like to see more of the station? Lucy found herself asking. Since you're here for almost 2 weeks. Xander's face brightened, quite literally. The patterns on the blue-silver skin glowed slightly. I would like that very much. Over. The next few days, Lucy showed Xander around Outpost Meridian. They visited the greenhouse where Lucy had helped grow strawberries, the recreation area where off-duty staff played holographic games, and the small market where people traded items. From Earth and the colonies, people stared at them everywhere they went. While aliens weren't unheard of on the station, they were uncommon enough to draw attention. Some people looked curious, others uncomfortable. Lucy noticed how Xander seemed to ignore the stares, focusing instead on whatever Lucy was showing or explaining. On their 4th day together, Lucy's friend Olivia caught her alone in the communications center. So, you and the Cerulean, huh? Olivia said, leaning against Lucy's desk. Station gossip says you two are together all the time. We're friends, Lucy said. We've been writing to each other for over a year. Wait, that's your pen pal? I thought you were writing to some guy named Nathan. Olivia looked confused. Lucy explained the situation briefly. It's complicated, she finished. Sounds like it, Olivia replied. Just be careful, okay? Interspecies. Relationships are still new territory. Nobody really knows all the cultural differences yet. It's not like that, Lucy said quickly. We're just... I don't know what we are. But Lucy couldn't deny that she enjoyed Xander's company. There was something freeing about being with someone who saw human customs with fresh eyes. Xander asked questions about things Lucy had always taken for granted, making her see her own culture differently. One evening, they sat in the station's small cafe. Lucy had gotten her usual coffee, while Xander drank something that looked like water but had a faint purple glow. "In your letters," Lucy said, "you talked about missing Earth's weather. Was that true?" "Yes," Xander replied. "My family lived near a lake in Ohio. I used to watch thunderstorms move across the water. The lightning would reflect on the surface, creating double flashes of light. Very beautiful." "You actually lived on Earth then? It wasn't just a cover story?" "My family was part of the first cultural exchange. 10 cerulean families lived among humans, while 10 human families came to our world. I attended your schools, learned your languages, ate your food, though some of it didn't agree with my system." Xander smiled, and Lucy noticed how the expression was similar to a human smile, but with subtle differences in how the facial muscles moved. "That's why your letters felt so genuine," Lucy realized. "You weren't making up experiences, you were drawing on real memories." "Yes. Though I adapted some details to maintain the human perspective, the core experiences and feelings were real." Across the cafe, a group of maintenance workers were watching them and talking in low voices. One of them laughed loudly, and though Lucy couldn't hear what they were saying, the look they gave Xander made her uncomfortable. "Does it bother you?" she asked. "The way some people look at you?" Xander seemed to consider this. "Curiosity doesn't bother me. Fear and dislike are harder to ignore, but I understand it. Humans evolved to be cautious of differences as a survival trait. My people were the same once, long ago." "Well, I don't like it," Lucy said firmly. "You're a person, not some strange exhibit." "A blue person with 4 fingers and eyes like space," Xander pointed out with humor. "You have to admit I'm a bit strange by human standards." Lucy found herself smiling. "No stranger than some humans I've met." As they walked back toward the residential section of the station, Lucy realized something had shifted in her thinking. She had started to see beyond Xander's physical differences to the person she had come to know through their correspondence. "When does your shift rotation end?" Xander asked as they reached her door. "In 4 months," Lucy replied. "Then I have a choice to extend my contract or take a position elsewhere." "Why?" "The venture completes its current mission in 6 months. After that, I've been offered a position at the new joint research facility on Mars. It would mean a more permanent posting, less deep space travel." "Oh," Lucy said, not sure how to respond. Were they making future plans? Was that even possible? "I've enjoyed our time together these past days," Xander continued. "It's been better than I hoped, meeting you in person." "Even with my initial reaction?" Lucy asked. "Your reaction was perfectly reasonable. I expected much worse." They stood by her door in comfortable silence for a moment. Lucy thought about how strange this situation would have seemed a week ago, yet now it felt almost normal. "Would you like to come in?" she found herself asking. "I have some music files from Earth I think you might enjoy." Xander's skin brightened slightly. "I would like that very much." As they entered her apartment, Lucy realized she was no longer seeing Xander as just the alien or even as Nathan Ellis plus alien. She was beginning to see Xander as simply Xander, a unique individual with whom she shared a genuine connection. The letters that had brought them together had contained truths more important than physical appearance. "I'm glad you didn't give up on me," she said as she searched for the music files. "After I found out the truth, I almost didn't come to your door that first day," Xander admitted. "I nearly asked to be assigned to another part of the station for our docking, but then I would have missed knowing you, the real you, not just your words on a screen." Lucy looked at Xander and smiled. "I would have missed knowing you too." Days passed quickly as Lucy and Xander spent more time together. They fell into an easy routine. Lucy would finish her shift at the communications center, and Xander would meet her after completing maintenance work on the venture. They would share meals, walk through different sections of the station, or simply sit and talk for hours. Lucy found herself looking forward to these meetings more than anything else in her day. She enjoyed watching Xander experience human things for the first time. The joy on Xander's face when tasting a real strawberry from the station's greenhouse made Lucy laugh. The look of wonder when Lucy played old Earth music from the 20th century made her see familiar songs with new appreciation. But their time together had a deadline. The venture would complete its repairs and leave Meridian in just 3 days. Neither of them had spoken much about what would happen after that. One evening, they sat in a quiet corner of the station's observation lounge. The large windows showed the curve of Earth below, blue and white and beautiful against the blackness of space. "Will you continue to write to me after you leave?" Lucy asked, finally addressing the question that had been on her mind. "Of course," Xander said. "Our letters mean even more to me now that we've met in person." Lucy nodded, trying to ignore the heaviness in her chest. Letters would be nice, but they wouldn't be the same as having Xander sitting beside her, seeing those galaxy eyes light up with interest or humor. "The venture's next mission is supposed to last 3 months," Xander continued. "We'll be mapping the asteroid belt near Mars. The communications delay will be minimal, perhaps a day at most." "That's good," Lucy said. "Not like when you were near Jupiter and messages took almost a week." Xander turned to face her directly. "Lucy, there's something I need to tell you." Lucy felt a moment of worry. "What is it?" "I've requested a transfer from the venture to the Mars Research Station. If approved, I would complete this next mission and then take the new position." "The Mars Station?" Lucy asked, surprised. "But that's a permanent posting." "Yes," Xander said. "I've spent 4 years on deep space assignments. I'm ready for something more stable." Lucy thought about what this might mean. Mars was much closer to Earth than the outer planets where the venture often traveled. Communications would be faster and travel between Earth stations and Mars was regular. "Is this because of—" Lucy hesitated. "Because of us?" Xander's skin patterns glowed slightly brighter, which Lucy had learned was a sign of emotional intensity. "Partly," Xander admitted. "But it's also a good career opportunity. The Mars station is at the forefront of cerulean human scientific cooperation." Before Lucy could respond, her communication device beeped. She checked the message and frowned. "I have to go," she said. "There's an issue with the main relay that needs immediate attention." Xander nodded understanding. "We can talk more tomorrow." Lucy spent the next 4 hours fixing a problem with the communications relay. The work required focus, but her mind kept drifting to her conversation with Xander. By the time she returned to her quarters, it was late, and she was too tired to think clearly about what Xander's potential transfer might mean for their relationship. The next morning, Lucy woke to an urgent message from Olivia. "Meet me for breakfast. Important station news." Lucy found Olivia in the dining area looking worried. "What's going on?" Lucy asked as she sat down with her coffee. "You haven't heard? There was an incident last night in the recreation area. Some of the maintenance crew got into an argument with 2 ceruleans from the venture. It almost turned physical before security stepped in." Lucy felt her stomach tighten. "Was Xander involved?" "No, it was 2 others," Olivia said. "But the station administrator has issued new guidelines about crew interactions. They're concerned about cultural misunderstandings leading to bigger problems." "What kind of guidelines?" Lucy asked. "Nothing official yet, but there's talk about limiting social interactions between station personnel and visiting non-human crews. Some people are uncomfortable with the increasing cerulean presence in the fleet." Lucy shook her head in frustration. "That's ridiculous. The ceruleans have been nothing but respectful since they joined the Alliance." "I know," Olivia agreed. "But you know how some people are about change, especially when that change has blue skin and can share emotions through glowing crystals." Lucy couldn't help but smile at Olivia's description. "Have you actually met any ceruleans besides seeing them around the station?" "Not really," Olivia admitted. "They keep to themselves mostly." "Maybe that's part of the problem," Lucy suggested. "People fear what they don't understand." When Lucy met Xander later that day, she told him about the incident and the possible new guidelines. "I heard about what happened," Xander said as they walked through the station's garden level. "The 2 ceruleans involved have been restricted to the venture until we depart." "That's not fair," Lucy protested. "From what Olivia told me, they didn't do anything wrong." "Perhaps not, but our captain feels it's better to avoid further incidents. This isn't the first time something like this has occurred." Lucy stopped walking and turned to Xander. "Has this happened to you before? People treating you badly because you're cerulean?" Xander seemed to consider the question carefully. Yes, though rarely in direct ways. Usually it's small things. People moving to different tables when I sit down, conversations stopping when I enter a room, being watched closely by security in public spaces. Lucy felt a surge of protective anger. That's awful. It's understandable, Xander said. Humans evolved to be cautious of differences. My people were the same when we first encountered other species. Understanding why it happens doesn't make it right, Lucy insisted. They reached a small bench near a flowering plant display and sat down. The garden level was designed to give station residents a connection to nature, with real plants from Earth growing in carefully controlled conditions. The captain has asked all cerulean crew to limit their time on the station until we depart, Xander said after a moment of silence. As a precaution. Lucy felt her heart sink. But you're leaving in 2 days. That means we won't have much time left together. I know, Xander said. I'm sorry. I requested special permission to continue seeing you, but the captain was firm. Lucy reached out hesitantly and placed her hand on Xander's. It was the first time she had initiated physical contact between them. Xander's skin felt smooth and slightly warmer than human skin, with a subtle vibration beneath the surface. Then we'll make the most of the time we have, Lucy said. Xander's hand turned to hold hers, 4 fingers wrapping gently around her 5. Yes, we will. They spent the rest of the day together, ignoring the occasional stares from others on the station. Lucy showed Xander her favorite spots that they hadn't yet visited: the small library with actual printed books, the hidden viewpoint near the secondary communications array where Earth looked close enough to touch, the quiet corridor where station engineers had painted a mural of the solar system. As evening approached, they stood at the docking bay where the Venture was attached to the station. In just 2 days, the ship would detach and head toward its next assignment. When will you know about the transfer to Mars? Lucy asked. Likely within a month, Xander replied. If approved, I would start there after the Venture completes its asteroid mapping mission. Lucy nodded, trying to think practical thoughts rather than dwelling on the coming separation. The communication links to Mars are excellent. We could talk almost in real time, not just exchange letters. And visit, perhaps, Xander suggested. Travel between Earth and Mars is routine now. Lucy smiled at the thought. I would like that. The day of the Venture's departure arrived too quickly. Lucy stood in the main docking bay alongside a small crowd of station personnel who had come to see the ship off. Most were there on official business, but Lucy had taken a rare day off from her duties at the communications center. She spotted Xander among the Venture crew preparing for final boarding. The cerulean stood slightly apart from the others, scanning the crowd until their eyes met. Lucy raised her hand in a small wave, and Xander walked over to her. I was afraid I might miss seeing you before we left, Xander said. I wouldn't let that happen, Lucy replied. Around them, crew members hurried back and forth, loading last-minute supplies and checking systems. The station announcement system periodically called out departure information and safety reminders. I have something for you, Xander said, reaching into a pocket of the uniform. A going-away present, I think humans call it. Lucy took the small object Xander offered. It was a memory stone like the one Xander had shown her before, but smaller, attached to a simple silver chain. It contains memories of our time together, Xander explained. Not just images, but the feelings that went with them. It's something my people share with those who are important to us. Lucy held the stone carefully. How do I use it? Just hold it in your hand and think of me. It will do the rest. Xander paused. It's tuned specifically to you, so it won't work for anyone else. Lucy slipped the chain around her neck, tucking the stone under her shirt where she could feel its slight warmth against her skin. Thank you. I wish I had something to give you. You've given me more than enough already, Xander said. A final boarding call echoed through the docking bay. Crew members began filing through the airlock connecting the station to the ship. I should go, Xander said, but made no move to leave. Lucy felt a tightness in her throat. They had known this moment was coming, but that didn't make it any easier. Write to me as soon as you can, she said, and let me know about the Mars transfer. I will, Xander promised. Then, with a gentle touch to Lucy's hand, Xander joined the line of crew members entering the ship. Lucy stayed in the docking bay until the departure was complete. She watched through the large observation windows as the Venture disconnected from the station and slowly moved away, its engines glowing as it picked up speed. Soon it was just a bright speck against the darkness, and then it was gone. The next few days were difficult. Lucy threw herself into her work, taking extra shifts and volunteering for projects she would normally avoid. Olivia noticed the change in her behavior. "You're going to burn yourself out," Olivia warned during a rare meal break they shared. "This isn't healthy." "I'm fine," Lucy insisted. "Just catching up on work I neglected while Xander was here." Olivia looked unconvinced. "Have you heard from them yet?" "No. They need to get far enough from Earth for the first scheduled communication window." Lucy picked at her food without much interest. "Should be tomorrow or the next day." "You really care about them, don't you?" Olivia asked, her voice gentler than usual. Lucy touched the memory stone hidden beneath her uniform. "Yes, I do." "I don't pretend to understand it," Olivia said. "But I've never seen you connect with anyone like this before." The first message from Xander arrived 3 days after the Venture's departure. Lucy was in the middle of her shift when the personal communication alert sounded on her console. She finished her current task before opening the message, trying to keep her excitement under control. "Dear Lucy," the message began. "The Venture is now on course for the asteroid belt. Our communication windows will be regular but brief as we navigate the belt's interference patterns. I wanted to write to you as soon as possible to let you know I'm thinking of you. Life on the ship feels different now. Before meeting you in person, I was content with my duty assignments and research projects. Now I find myself counting the days of our mission, looking forward to its completion in a way I never have before." The captain called me to his office yesterday. "My transfer request has been forwarded to Mars Station with his recommendation. He seemed to understand my reasons without me having to explain them fully. How are things at Meridian? Are you still working on the new relay calibrations? Has the greenhouse produced more strawberries? I find myself wanting to know every detail of your days." Lucy read the message twice, smiling at Xander's questions and the warmth that came through the words. She began typing her reply immediately, telling Xander about her extra shifts, Olivia's concern, and the latest station gossip. It felt good to share these small details, to maintain their connection across the growing distance between them. Weeks passed, and their correspondence continued. Sometimes the messages came days apart, sometimes weeks, depending on the Venture's position and mission status. Lucy found herself settling into a new routine, one where her days were filled with work and friends, but her quiet moments were spent writing to Xander or holding the memory stone, experiencing again the feelings of their time together. 2 months after the Venture's departure, Lucy received an official message from station administration. She opened it during her lunch break, expecting some routine update about communication protocols or shift schedules. Instead, she found herself looking at a transfer offer. "Lieutenant Lucy Winters," the message read. "Your expertise in deep space communications has been noted by Mars Station Command. A position has opened for a senior communications specialist at the Mars Joint Research Facility. Given your excellent service record and specific experience with interspecies communication protocols, you are being offered this position. Please respond within 7 days if you wish to accept." Lucy stared at the message in shock. Mars Station, where Xander had requested a transfer. It couldn't be a coincidence, but how had this happened? She immediately sent a message to Xander, even knowing it might be days before she received a reply. "Did you have anything to do with this Mars Station offer?" she wrote after explaining the situation. 4 days later, Xander's reply arrived. "I may have mentioned your excellent communication skills to some cerulean colleagues at Mars Station," the message read. "But the offer would only come if your record warranted it. You earned this opportunity, Lucy. The question is, do you want it?" Lucy spent the next 3 days thinking carefully about the decision. Taking the position would mean leaving Earth's orbit for the first time, living on Mars for at least a 2-year assignment. It would mean being closer to Xander if the Cerulean's transfer was also approved, but it would also mean leaving behind everything familiar. On the 7th day, just before the deadline, Lucy submitted her acceptance of the Mars position. That evening, she held the memory stone in her hand and thought of Xander, feeling a wave of emotions that weren't entirely her own: hope, anticipation, joy. 6 months later, Lucy stood in the arrival bay of Mars Station, watching as the transport shuttle from the Venture docked. Her heart beat faster as the airlock opened and passengers began to disembark. And then Xander was there, blue-silver skin shimmering under the station lights, those galaxy eyes finding Lucy immediately in the crowd. They had both traveled a great distance from where they started, not just physically across space, but across the differences between their species, across the misunderstandings and challenges. Their journey had begun with letters between strangers and led them here, to a new world where they could build something together. As Xander walked toward her, Lucy smiled and reached out her hand. Whatever came next, they would face it together.